So what do you think Bitcoin is? What is it to you?
Bitcoin is a protocol. Basically, a protocol means it has a set of rules and that need to be followed. And really what Bitcoin was initially came out for is for peer-to-peer transfer, basically to transfer value. Later it became other things, but essentially Bitcoin is many, many things. And so it's scarce, so scarcity is a big one on it. The protocol, the fact that it has rules and sets of rules, has a blockchain. So that's kind of how I see it. Bitcoin is energy.
So exactly. So let's look at Bitcoin from a spiritual perspective,
Okay.
from a economic perspective, and from a societal perspective.
Okay, spiritual, I think it's a revolution. And also societal, it's a revolution, right? I mean, it's a new technology. It's something that never invented before, never existed before. It's actually the first asset that's capped, that has scarcity again. Like you cannot make more of it. Like the US dollar, you can print more gold, you can mine more oil, you can get more oil. Bitcoin is the only asset. There's always only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin.
How about if we look at that in more details before you continue your answer?
Yeah.
So the scarcity, what is that scarcity? The scarcity means that there is a limited, a finite amount of it, which is going to be 21 million Bitcoin. And that's going to be in the year 2140. So now going back, every 10 minutes, a new block of Bitcoin is being mined, which means really in old world terms, is that new money is being printed. So that process of printing Bitcoin every 10 minutes will continue till the year 140, and then it will stop. So then there will be only 21 million Bitcoin. However, right now, every Bitcoin since the beginning divides into 100 million. So it's 0, 7 zeros, and a 1. So you can buy that much, it's called Satoshi, named after the person or people or aliens or AI. Nobody knows who invented Bitcoin, but that's another story. So every 10 minutes, new Bitcoin is created, and that will continue. But when we get to 21 million, there's still going to be 21 million times 100 million. Oh. So there's plenty of bits of Bitcoin to go around, and 100 millionth, which is one Satoshi, could be worth, imagine, $100. So it's still not a problem, because Bitcoin is viewed as a store of value, like gold. So like you won't take a bar of gold and break a chip off it and just go to the store and buy yourself a chewing gum. You can't do that. You don't have to do that with Bitcoin. You could just sell a bit of your Bitcoin to whatever currency is going and just buy with that. So so it's going to be scarcer and scarcer. At the moment, we have 20 million Bitcoin almost exist. So that took 16 years from the beginning till now. And now there's just the last million, which is going to be spread out on 120 years, roughly, till 240. So that's the scarcity.
Yeah, but really good point that Bitcoin is comprised by, you said 100 million Satoshis?
Yes, each Bitcoin.
Each Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshis, which is really important to keep in mind, because everyone, with the price of Bitcoin today being so high, everyone says, oh, I don't have money to buy it, but you don't have to buy a full Bitcoin. You can buy Satoshis. You can buy up to 100 million Satoshis, basically.
Which would be, let's say, $75. You have $75, you can buy Bitcoin with it. It's not a problem. You don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin.
Right. And I think what's really interesting about this 100 million Satoshis is that it gives it so much more runway for Bitcoin to keep becoming the technology of the future, the money of the future, the internet money, because it's so divisible. There's so many of it.
Well, we definitely don't have to worry about liquidity.
Yeah.
There's enough of it.
Yeah.
More than the 10 billion people need per person.
Right.
So that's absolutely true. No liquidity issues. And in terms of it becoming the next thing, well, as you can see, like Max Kaiser says, all fiat currencies are going to zero compared to Bitcoin. So it's no longer, even now we all know, if Bitcoin is 110,000 today and the dollar is collapsing and all other fiat currencies are collapsing against Bitcoin, you can't compare Bitcoin to the dollar anymore. You need to compare Bitcoin to eggs, to a kilo of chicken, to, you know what I mean, to a cost of a car, to real estate.
Right, to cost of goods and services.
Yeah. So what we're saying, what we're trying to say, it's not whether someone out there decides to make Bitcoin the next official base layer of the new economy, like gold was in the old economy, allegedly, because it hasn't been like that since 71 when Nixon went off the gold standard and basically told all the countries to fuck off, that gave America gold after the Bretton Woods Agreement, which was after World War II. But now we're getting into history. So coming back to Bitcoin.
What is Bitcoin to you? How do you define
So Bitcoin is like a black hole, but it's a very enlightened thing. So I would rather see it in light than in dark. But it has the same nature in the sense that it kind of sucks everything into it. We can see it happening. We just spoke about it. So Bitcoin is for me a white hole.
White hole, love it.
With a white hole in it.
Mm-hmm. What got you into Bitcoin?
Me into Bitcoin, I was living in the UK and I was involved in a business where Filipino people wanted to pay us. And they asked us, for some reason in the Filipinos, whatever reason, they needed to pay us in Bitcoin. So we said, okay, we'll look into it. We looked into it. We were shocked.
Wow.
They were like, yeah, pay us in Bitcoin. And they paid us in Bitcoin.
Wow. So it's almost like the market wanted you. This is already a use case.
Yes.
This is,
7 years ago, that was. 8 years ago.
7 years ago, use case. Wow.
And then I started looking into it and I saw that it's really interesting. And they say you should invest 100 hours.
Mm-hmm.
If you're really interested, just go onto YouTube or whatever and just type in, what is Bitcoin? What can I do with Bitcoin? Whatever. Do your research. 100 hours is more than enough. You'll be beyond the point of no return in terms of you can't unknow what you will know by then.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit high level about the mechanics or the protocol. So we said that it's based on a blockchain.
Yes.
Right? Every 10 minutes, one block finishes, closes, and a new block opens.
Yes.
And these two blocks, the blocks are always connected, right? That's why it's called blockchain.
Yep.
They're always connected. So then we have the miners, right? And those are the ones who provide the computer power to calculate those blocks, to affirm them.
Mine them, but also, I know what you mean, verify them.
Verify the transactions, thank you.
Yes.
So all the transactions need to be verified once they make sure that and also there's something about the double spend.
Yeah, and all this is automatically done in the code of Bitcoin, which is independent. It has outgrown its creator, allegedly Satoshi Nakamoto, and now Bitcoin has lived from the beginning in its own right. It's like saying if Pythagoras invented some sort of an equation, and it's called the Pythagoras equation, it doesn't mean that because he's dead now you can't use the formula. Same thing as Bitcoin.
Right. And so the miners, they do all the verification. Bitcoin is transparent, right? Full transparency. There's something called consensus mechanism.
Yeah, so basically it's the first ever in history full consensus distributed public ledger.
Yeah, that's important to know.
So we could go through each one of them if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
So full consensus. Full consensus, decentralized public ledger. So the full consensus is because there was something called, until Bitcoin, there was something called the Byzantine's general's problem. Okay. So what's the Byzantine? And they had it these days, and they've had it till Bitcoin, but Bitcoin solved the Byzantine's general's problem. So imagine you're a general, and you have your army, and there's this town, and you need to conquer the town. So you basically positioned 4 different battalions on each border of the 4 borders. And you're there for a few weeks, and now you've made a decision. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to attack the city. Now, as a warrior who studied the art of war and the science of war, you know that you must attack at the very same time from all directions in order to overcome and conquer your enemy and win. Yeah. Otherwise, if it's only one side, then they could regroup, and then they could kill your people, and then the whole thing could get screwed up.
Collapse.
So the problem is that the general has had absolutely no way of knowing for sure that there is a consensus between the four commanders of each battalion, and they will actually act upon it at the same time. And for example, if he sent a messenger, imagine the messenger told this one of the commanders, you need to attack tomorrow in dawn, just at the first strike of the sun ray. So he needs, how do we know that he won't be killed by that commander? And then who knows if he carried on telling the rest, or maybe he was captured by the enemy and he was made into a double agent. Mm-hmm. And even if he did manage to tell all the commanders, how do you know they're going to do it? What if in the morning one of them loses his mind and shoots himself instead? Okay. So there's no way to know. Bitcoin solved it.
Okay.
So with Bitcoin, you know. So if I pay you Bitcoin, or if you pay him Bitcoin, or anyone pays anyone Bitcoin, we know once the block has moved in 6 blocks, which would take, well, if it's 10 minutes every block, so
60 minutes,
maximum 60 minutes, but it happens much quicker. It can happen in 5-10 minutes. Which is not an issue because you could basically move an infinite amount of Bitcoin. I mean, not infinite, depending how much you have. Let's say you have $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. You could just now transact it to someone else. Same speed if you move $5 worth of Bitcoin, and it's the same cost. It doesn't cost more if you're moving 5 billion. Right. It happens. Let's say the worst case scenario in a minute. Mm-hmm. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
And
so that's the consensus part.
So that's the consensus part, which because there is consensus, we know that we are now getting into the decentralized part. Where is all that important information, let's say, which is the blockchain? The blockchain is situated because it's decentralized on millions of computers and servers all over the world, and nobody knows. There could be a server under a toilet somewhere, a public toilet connected to the internet. And working as part of the Bitcoin network, which is the biggest network ever in existence of humanity. No network in existence can now overtake Bitcoin or do like a 51% attack on it, which theoretically, built into the code, if you could do something which is impossible today, but could have been possible when Bitcoin just started. And it was laughed at the beginning, then they laugh at you, then they fight you. Sorry, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you. Then they fight you, and then you win. So Bitcoin's already passed the 4th stage, as we know, and we've been through it. Yes, it was ridiculed. Remember?
Yes, yes.
So we have the decentralization, and we have
the consensus, and then we have the decentralized. That's the fact that we have the miners everywhere, and there's not just in one place.
Exactly.
One person can change everything, right?
Exactly.
So millions of minutes, and the hash power. That has to do with hash power, right? Yeah. That's basically the mining, which gives it the decentralization.
Absolutely, it gives it the hash power is people paying dollars, buying a computer, connecting it to the Bitcoin network, and adding hash power to the network. Yeah. And obviously, they're rewarded
with Bitcoin.
With Bitcoin, which comes from, which brings me now to the fact every 10 minutes, new Bitcoin is created. It used to be 50 every 10 minutes in 2008 when it started. And then for 4 years it went on, and then it became half.
Right.
So these are, tell me about the halving.
So every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin that's being offered to the miners goes down by half. And so, like you said, in 2008, it started with 50. I didn't know that. Great.
Yeah.
And then every 4 years, it keeps going down by half. And now we're at 6.25, right?
That's half of that.
It's half of the 6.25 already. Oh.
That's 3.
So when I joined, it was 6.25 every 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And now it's half of the 6.25, which would be whatever it be, 3.1.
Something,
5, 1 to 5, 3, yeah. So that's the rewards. That's basically what the people of Bitcoin, the people that participate in the network, the miners,
who do the verification and that.
Yeah, they do a lot of work, and that work costs them money, by the way. Electricity mainly, right?
Yeah.
We should talk about that.
Yeah. So if you want to be a miner, what do you need to expect? What should you expect to do?
Run code, have a good internet connection, and have
the computer itself.
The computer itself, the miner, right?
Yeah, the miner, yeah.
The miner. Some do it, by the way. Some people do it on their laptops, I heard.
Used to. In the past, you can't anymore. So now it's so hard to do it on your own.
You have to
the
have
chances of you winning the lottery that happens behind the scenes, which we can talk about later, if you do win it, then you are rewarded the Bitcoin that was created at that 10 minutes. So at that cycle of 10 minutes. So at the time, even if it was 50 Bitcoin, it was worth less than $1 each.
Right.
Now, even if you made 0.01 Bitcoin, it could be hundreds of dollars.
Right.
Or thousands. So now it's so hard, the level of difficulty to actually win, that your version of the block wins the Bitcoin. So people joined together years ago and they created pools.
Yes.
So you have like 7 or whatever pools of people who came together, added physical computer that each one went and sourced and is paying now for the electricity for, and they all put it all to this giant cluster of computer that goes after the next block to make sure, to try and guess what the Bitcoin network is asking him, and it's a random question. He has to literally guess the answer. Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? So all this massive monster of computer is doing what is known as proof of work.
Okay,
they're literally guessing thousands and millions of combinations a second until they hit the right one. And that's pure luck as a result of massive computing power. And they win the next block, and then they divide that three Bitcoin with thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands of little people who all chipped in. And they all get equally what they are.
Wow. And what does the miner try to solve? Like it's basically mathematics, and they're just making sure that the transactions that took place, that they all took place, and that the money actually transferred from one place to the other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are basically. What he did, Satoshi, is he created a mechanism where there's a place before the blockchain, which is all those 10-minute blocks that were, let's say there's 1,000 transactions in a block. So you have, every block is 1,000, and you have millions of blocks since 2008 when it started. And it's all this list of all the transactions that was made is on all those computers of all those private people who connected separately from all over the world and created this giant platform. So there's a copy, and that's where the Byzantine problem is solved, because of the fact that it's the same list on all of them, and because of what I'm going to explain about the pool of unconfirmed transactions. We know for a fact, and that's why it is a full consensus decentralized public ledger, because it is truly decentralized, and we truly know that there's full consensus that if you opened every single computer and looked at the list that is now saved on it,
it's all the same,
identical down to the last one.
And that's very important, because what I've learned what I've learned about is what's called the double spend problem. The double spend problem, I'm not so sure I know what it is. I'll go back and learn about it, because that's part of this beauty of doing this. But basically that they want to make sure that you don't double spend, and Bitcoin solves that, where banks, for example, they double spend all the time. They triple and quadruple, and they spend so much, it's insane. For every dollar you deposit, they can go out and loan $12. So they create money from nowhere. They can go into the ledger and change things and do all these double spending, where in Bitcoin, none of that can happen.
That's the fractional reserve system you're talking about, the old style banking that's now disintegrating in front of our eyes. The Bitcoin white hole is sucking it all in, praise the Lord, and it's unbelievably exciting, because what we're going to talk about...
And it's immutable also, you can't change anything.
Exactly.
And where the banks can change all the time, or the financial...
You can't counterfeit. This double spending thing ties in with the fact that you can't cheat, you can't have a fake Bitcoin. You can have a fake dollar or any other fiat currency, and you can't have a fake Bitcoin, because there's no the double spend issue is solved as well. So we have the unconfirmed transactions.
Okay.
I mean, every block, imagine now we got to the last block, the 1 billionth block, and now the 1 billionth and one has to be done, because he just paid him Bitcoin. So when he pays him Bitcoin, it goes into the unconfirmed pool of transactions. And let's say it accumulates 1,000 unconfirmed transactions accumulate there. So then all the miners, what they do, all these millions of computers, it's all done automatically. Okay? The miner is just a person investing in allowing for this to happen naturally, automatically. He sponsors the hardware of the platform, of the network. So he's like the bank. So if you want to be the bank in Bitcoin, buy a computer and start be a miner, join a mining. There's companies that offer mining. Again, you just have to pay and they have the equipment, they do it all for you. So the unconfirmed transactions, imagine we now have 3 transactions in there. Okay, he paid him, she paid him, he paid her. So you call them transaction number 1, number 2, and number 3. So imagine that I'm a miner, he is a miner, and you're a miner. So our computers go in and randomly extract 1,000 transactions from the pool of the unconfirmed transactions. So in our case, with 3 transactions, let's say I took number 1 first, and then I put number 2 under it, and number 3 under it. So my block says 1, 2, 3. Your block is saying, because your computer randomly extracted, pulled out a different sequence. So you pulled number 2 first, and then you pulled number 3, and then number 2. So that's how the 3 transactions will be shown on your block. And in your case, it was 3, 2, 1. So it doesn't really matter which one wins, correct? At this point, each one of our blocks might as well be the next block. So then Bitcoin is doing a lottery with us. Bitcoin literally comes up, the Bitcoin code with the Bitcoin spirit comes out with a random 256 character number, and I think it's like less than that, but anyway, the computers need to guess what's the number. And like with the lottery, once a guy from Minnesota wins, and then from New York, and then from Iowa. Same thing here. One time this group of miners won, and then the other group. And let's say you won. Back in the day, you could have won sitting on your laptop when they were ignoring Bitcoin. And let's say you won. So back then, you would get 50 Bitcoin.
Right.
That was made. Now, what do you do with it? You want to sell it? You want to give it some to him? You want to give your wife some? So then you have to open them not account, like Bitcoin addresses,
right?
Which is very easily done as users. That's like the public using it. So the Bitcoin flew away from the miners into people who bought mums and pups.
Right.
Wall Street only got in last year with BlackRock and and the whole of Wall Street, but that's too late.
Right.
There's only one left, and they have to wait 120 years. So there's tiny bits and shreds of Bitcoin left to be had, and BlackRock is gobbling up all of it. They already have like 500,000 Bitcoin. Then how about you can tell us about MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor and companies like that?
Yeah, we can get into that. But back to there goes to unconfirmed, and then the miners go and start confirming these basically.
Okay, so then basically one block wins, and then that block is added by the Bitcoin code to the end of the blockchain, and all the millions of computers have to update similarly, because if one of them doesn't, he's out of the game, because Bitcoin is constantly comparing all the lists.
Yeah.
So if you were to change one little comma or 0, you're completely out of sync. Your whole blockchain is completely out of sync, and you're out of the game. So now you're just paying electricity for nothing, and you're not participating in being able to earn money for the computer you already bought. So you will go back, fix the counterfeiting you were trying to commit, and then you're back in the game.
Yeah.
And then you're making money again. So it cannot be counterfeit with it. Cannot be cheated. You can't do any kind of fraud in the system. Embezzlement, in banking are known to have done in the past. In a bank you can have a employee who flipped and is just nicking money on the side. I'm sure you have many. With Bitcoin, never happened, never will happen. It's hard-coded.
Also, the network was never ever hacked.
Never hacked,
the
not even
Bitcoin
once.
network is one of the strongest networks ever invented type deal.
I actually heard, I don't know if this one is a myth or true, but I've actually seen a podcast about it where apparently when they brought all these big, all these computer experts looked into the source code of Bitcoin, which is open source, so everybody knows what it is. There can't be like a back door or something because it's an open source. And there's enough computer scientists who know that and read the code and realized that, what were you talking? Remind me about Michael Saylor.
No, before Michael Saylor, about the never been hacked.
Never been hacked. So then, as they were looking into the code, they tried to hack. This amazing hacker was just about to hack it, and then suddenly, bing, he sees like a note from Satoshi saying, you're wrong place, you're looking in the wrong place. And then he was like, shit. And then he went and tried again and found another seemingly whatever back door or whatever, or way in, and again, wrong again, like a note from Satoshi. And they were like shocked. They were like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
But I haven't heard many people talk about this story, so it might not be true.
Yeah. Interesting. The 256, that's basically some sort of encryption, right? That's
Yes, there is. He's using SHA-256, SHA, which is like this highest level of encryption available on the market, which basically means in existence on Earth, which means you know how they say it's as difficult as finding a grain of sand on the beach. Imagine all the beaches on 40,000 worlds. So finding a grain of salt there.
Oh, wow.
So it's that difficult. That's why it's never been hacked.
Right.
Now there's all this talk about quantum computers can
Right.
hack it, which of course they can, but there's already anti-quantum computer Bitcoin wallet addresses, which you could move your Bitcoin, but there is no quantum computer. It's just an idea.
Yeah.
And if there will be one in 10 years or whatever, then way before everybody will start installing the right, quantum-proof wallets and move their Bitcoin there.
Post-quantum, they're calling it. I just heard Charles Hoskinson, Cardano, talk about it.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he has a 3-hour podcast with Sean Ryan. You should take a look at.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's
He's
very
amazing.
interesting. Very interesting.
Very new world.
Very
and,
interesting.
Let's create a new
Very
world for us. Let's make it all happen. Forget the governments. Forget the military-industrial complex and all those, pharmaceutical industries. The people are now taking over, and he's very much about that. And I really appreciate the guy.
Yeah. He talked about the
Hoskinson.
privacy. Yeah, very
From
interesting.
Cardano.
Very interesting.
So what's that? What about crypto in general? So what is crypto? Now we've spoken about Bitcoin. We understand how Bitcoin works.
Yeah.
So what's with this crypto thing? I heard there's how many cryptocurrencies by now?
I guess there's a lot. There's many. We consider anything that's not Bitcoin, I call and we call and a lot of people call shitcoins.
That's true.
And it's true. It is true.
It's true that other people call it. That's for sure. I don't know if I would call it shitcoin, but a lot of them are shitcoin.
I call it shitcoin.
Not all of them.
For
all
me,
of them, even Ethereum?
For me, it is compared to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Compared to Bitcoin, yes.
True.
But
True.
you can still make money there, and you can still make a lot of money there. But you can also lose your shirts. But yeah, I mean, anything else other than Bitcoin is a shitcoin at the end of the day.
Some people say that. I think Max Kaiser says that. And look, some coins are shitty. A lot, maybe the majority, I'd say, are shitty. But some, very few. Let's say there's like the top 10 that you could say, if I had to buy an altcoin, I wouldn't buy an officially shitcoin. I'll buy one of the 10 top large market cap altcoins, it's called.
Yeah. You're right. I just kind of fall back to the fundamentals of Bitcoin, and that's the decentralized, immutable, the public, the transparency, and the scarcity of it. Just there's all the other shitcoins. None of them represent exactly what Bitcoin at the end of the day represents.
Which is basically the oldest crypto, because Bitcoin is also a crypto, but all the cryptos, because he's the one and only in this thing I'm about to tell you, all the others have to be altcoins, because they are alternatives to the one and only thing, which in this case is Bitcoin. So because it's the oldest, and because first they ignore you, then they ridicule you, then they fight you, and then you win, that's what Gandhi said apparently. So when they ignored Bitcoin, he was ignored for like 7 years until 2015, 2014, from 2008.
Yeah. So it's for the people?
It's definitely for the people, by the people. It's definitely by the people, and it's definitely for the people. And it's decentralized and it's immutable. And you could transfer it, up to, let's say, an hour, as we said. You could transfer any value anywhere in the world. Anyone can create an account. You can either download any app, which apps are very, very safe. You can also save it on okay, let's talk about security of how do I save my Bitcoin.
Oh, that's a whole
Before that, if they're saying I want to buy Bitcoin, where do you go? I would say go to Coinbase, Kraken, Binance. Who else in America? Robinhood, Gemini.
Yeah, any exchange, basically, any exchange.
In America, all of them are CFTC approved and CDC approved. And they are 100%, the IRS
legit.
is legit. And
but with that being said, you don't want to keep your Bitcoin on the exchange. You want to take it off chain, the exchange.
Not your keys.
Not your Bitcoin.
That's a famous saying, because if you open your own wallet, then you have the keys to the wallet. And the keys are 12 words. The think about it, people can actually memorize 12 words. They could cross the border from a country where you're not allowed to take anything over, I don't know, $500. And let's say they have $50,000 in Bitcoin that they purchased there. So now they're crossing the border. The words are in their head, like the password is in their head. They're searched down to their socks. Nobody finds any password or anything. And then they get to America, for example. They install the wallet. They put the words in that they remember. They have access to the blockchain because the money is actually on the blockchain, decentralized on all the millions of computers. It's not really on your phone when you see the app that shows you have money, or in the exchange for that matter.
Yeah. Who are the people you, we're going to kind of wrap it up here soon. Who are the people that you recommend people go listen to on YouTube or books or, whatever?
Altcoin Daily. Altcoin Daily, definitely.
Okay.
And also the Coin Bureau, Bitcoin Bureau.
The guy.
Coin something Bureau.
Yeah, I didn't see him lately much.
No, I see him, yeah.
Guy.
And then there's, Guy, exactly.
There's those brothers, that's Altcoin Daily.
Yeah, Aaron and...
Right. Michael Saylor, the big names, Michael Saylor.
Yeah.
We talked about Jack Mallers.
Yeah, definitely.
Andreas Antonopoulos.
Andreas Antonopoulos.
He's one of the OGs, right?
Yeah, Antonopoulos. He's American-born Greek man, computer scientist, and he understood Bitcoin from the very beginning.
He was one of the starter ones.
He talks about it. He just goes around talking about it, and I think people just gave him Bitcoin, thanked him. He's been doing it for as long as Bitcoin has been around, or maybe less than as long, maybe 10 years he's doing it.
Well, he's an OG.
And he's such a good source of information about what is Bitcoin. And he doesn't talk about stock markets and prices, only technically about Bitcoin.
The technology of Bitcoin,
technology.
Which is an insane technology.
Yeah, we were just talking about it for almost an hour.
And we're just scratching the surface.
Let's mention that Bitcoin is seen as an asset.
Mm-hmm.
It's an asset without an issuer. That's exactly how it's seen. So an asset without an issuer is like any mineral. So there's no office of aluminium where they literally go and they make out of nothing aluminium. Aluminium exists. So it's a resource without an issuer. Same thing, Bitcoin is recognized by all governments as a asset without an issuer, the first digital asset without an issuer, because Satoshi Nakamoto vanished. And as Andreas Antonopoulos once said in one of his videos, the best thing Satoshi did for us is
to
disappearing, because there's no one to summon. So imagine now that the people in charge, the deep state, are saying, we want to call Satoshi to talk in the Senate, and we want to interrogate him. There's no one to call. They don't even know if he even exists. So all the other coins, the alternative coins, the altcoins, including the very good ones of them, the ones that are high cap coins, large cap, are all alternative, and they can be summoned and they could be shut down theoretically. So they are not an asset without an issuer. They are. Which means they are securities, I think, according to all this kind of financial law of the old system that's dying in front of our eyes. So I wouldn't even bother talking about that. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Bitcoin is super complex. There's no two ways about it. Also, financing, the US dollar is super complex. But I think that anyone that's listening to this or getting into Bitcoin, you just need to get familiar enough to feel comfortable to move forward and to buy Bitcoin. That's what it is. To try to understand everything is almost impossible.
I agree.
So it's just a matter of just getting enough comfortable, enough information to where you think to yourself and you'll know in the core of your being that this asset is a revolution. It's a revolution. It's something that we haven't seen in history. And it's just going to be written in history. Now, it's your choice if you want to be part of this history, if you want to join the movement, or stay behind and join later. You'll join at some point. So everyone's going to join.
Everyone buys Bitcoin at the price he deserves.
Yeah.
So let's give an example just before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
You know someone who bought Bitcoin I don't know, for when it was like under 1,000, and then he sold it when it was like 2,000, which now would have been worth, I don't know,
Billion.
50 million.
Yeah,
And now he's kicking himself for having done that. But still, he realizes then it's 50,000. He says, I'm not going back to that. And then it's 70,000, and he sees it's going to go on, and he knows people are talking about Bitcoin getting to 50 million. So if you're buying it now at 100, it's still very cheap.
100,000, super cheap.
So the guy who bought for less than 1,000 and then sold and everything and was like kicking and screaming is now buying Bitcoin for 100,000 because that's the price he's meant to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, very true.
And the person watching this might buy Bitcoin in 3 years' time, or another person, and he might pay over $1 million for it. But that would be the price he needs to pay.
Yeah, exactly. You get the Bitcoin at the price that's right for you. Yeah, for sure. Well, good. Yeah, that was cool. That was fun.
It was nice.
Yeah, any follow-up questions for you? Anything? No?
No, just researching. Research.
Yeah. No, it's super complex. It really is. It takes a long time to study about it, like Michael said.
Good.
And yeah.
So enjoy your 100 hours researching about Bitcoin.